I'm going to show you about a dozen interesting things you can scan on the shop floor for your manufacturing work orders and projects. Here's the point of the video. When you move your manufacturing data collection from keyboard and mouse to barcodes, you immediately gain efficiency and accuracy. You'll see those areas right here. Let's take a look. You will like this. You probably already know that you can scan time and materials for work orders and projects on the shop floor for your manufacturing jobs. But it turns out there are a lot of other things you can scan, so this will be a quick survey, not a complete tutorial on scanning, but just a survey of things you can scan. Let's start by going to the Tools menu, choose Users and Organization, and here you will see a list of your users or employees in an organizational chart, and you will scan these names when you are collecting time and materials. You can also go to the Tools menu and choose Projects. Here you will see a list of your work orders. You can scan a name or a project code to begin collecting time for a project, and narrow it down by scanning a task name. That will allow you to collect actual hours for tasks, compare those against estimates, and get a % complete. Go to the File menu, choose Project Wizard to create a new set of project tasks under a work order. If you want a simpler system, you could always go to the Tools menu and choose Categories and enter categories and use those instead of project tasks. Now, going back to projects, it turns out that on the shop floor you can have operators and workers scan the project status so that you have the status for a job that's out on the shop floor. You can do the same thing with project tasks. You can mark them as complete by scanning special barcodes that would set the status of these projects and tasks. Now, moving on from collecting time, it turns out you can go over to the timesheet, click this little gray drop down, go into the expense sheet and create what are called expense templates. You can scan these descriptions. They will then create a new expense record in the expenses tab. They can optionally deduct from inventory or deduct an entire bill of materials from inventory, so that when you scan that name, it does two things. You'll see the expense records over here in the expenses tab. So moving on from there, if you go over to the Tools menu and choose Inventory, you'll see a list of all of your inventory items which you can import. You can then scan that name or a SKU or a code or other SKUs that would deduct that inventory item from stock. It can also be used the other way around to create a new expense record. So you can either use expense templates or directly scan the inventory item and create a new expense record that indicates that you've scanned that item. Again, going over here to the Tools menu, choosing Bill of Materials, you can scan an entire bill of materials, which is really just a collection of inventory items, and when you do, it would deduct this quantity from each of the inventory items in stock. You can also scan tools. If you create tools here, you can scan this name or a code or a model number, a serial number, and then that would allow you to check tools in and out and collect actual hours for the tools in your tool bin or in the shop. There is a work orders area where you can scan work orders. You can scan a special code to indicate that those work orders have been built. That is a special area that is a little different than going to the Tools menu and choosing Projects and creating your work orders right here. So you get to choose either way you want to do that. Going back to the F4 barcode window, you are able to collect information that is completely unique to your organization just by clicking the required Scans button in the lower left-hand corner. When you do, you can create these scans here. And here are just two examples. One might be to collect the number of items you produced, or a scan indicating whether a test passed or failed. Obviously, you'll create your own scans here, and when you do, the information will go into time logs, which are displayed here and on your reports. Another thing you can scan is in Tools Scripts. You can create special scripts that would allow you to perform special operations like send email, send status, update a database, order parts, a lot of different things that allow your workers to communicate status back to administrators in a manufacturing process. So a lot of things that you can scan here in standard time. This has just been a quick overview that should hopefully inspire you to try some of these things for yourself.